Every single day, the headlines get darker. Violence, corruption, tragedy. It honestly feels like the world is falling apart right before our eyes. And the more I've been watching what's going on, the more I've realized that this is about more than just politics or events. It's about the heart of humanity. And we can't ignore what this says about where we are as a culture. I honestly wrestled with whether or not to make this video because so much has been happening lately. They just started to feel normal. They just started to feel like just another event. And that's exactly the problem. It's like one tragedy after another. And at this point, we're all just asking ourselves, what's next? But the truth is, everything that's going on in this world right now has hit me hard. This past week alone has felt so heavy and full on. I felt sadness, grief, anger, even disgust. And I know I'm not the only one who's felt that way. Even as a Christian, it can be hard to stay hopeful in moments like these. It can be hard to trust that all of this is still under God's plan when what we see around us just feels so dark. And on top of that, our faith is constantly mocked, our values ridiculed, and people openly celebrate the very things God calls evil. It feels like demons are walking around us in broad daylight. But this is exactly why we need to talk about it, because this isn't just chaos. It's the fruit of a world that has turned away from God.
It is being called a dark moment for America. The targeted shooting of conservative political activist Charlie Kirk.
Conservative commentator Charlie Kirk has been shot and killed.
Charlie Kirk, the conservative activist, has died.
On September 10th, Charlie Kirk was assassinated on a college campus at Utah Valley University. Now for context, I'm not American and I'm not approaching this from a political perspective because honestly, the root of this issue is not political. It's a human issue. It's about the value of human life and the lack of compassion we see in our culture today. Charlie was a man of God, a father, a husband, and yet I've seen comments and posts mocking his death, and it's absolutely sickening and cruel.
There are a lot of people that are like, no matter what side of politics you're on, you should never celebrate something bad happening to someone. I, on the other hand, do cheer when bad things happen to bad people.
Charlie Kirk just got shot.
Many people mourned, and rightfully so, but the fact that so many people openly mocked him, saying things like he deserved it, just shows how cold, hardened, and numb the human heart can become. And that should concern all of us. Celebrating someone's death is inhumane, no matter who it is. Of course, this isn't just about Charlie Kirk. His story is just one part of a much bigger problem we're seeing across the world. We see corruption and injustice in nation after nation. We see protests that turn into violence, cities torn apart, buildings burned to the ground. We see wars that feel endless and drag on with no sign of peace. And almost every single day, there's another headline, another shooting, another act of senseless violence, and another tragedy reminding us just how fragile life really is. And when you step back and look at all of it together, it all points to the same reality. Our culture has drifted so far from compassion, from love, and ultimately from God. The thing is though, as dark as all of this feels, it really shouldn't surprise us, because scripture already told us what a world without God would look like. Jesus said in Matthew chapter 24 verse 12, "Because of the increase of wickedness, the love of most will grow cold." And that's exactly what we're seeing right now. A culture where compassion is replaced with cruelty, and where people celebrate what God calls evil. When love for God fades, love for others often follows. Romans chapter 1 verse 28 and 29 is also very important, saying, "Just as they did not think it worthwhile to retain the knowledge of God, so God gave them over to a depraved mind. They have become filled with every kind of wickedness, evil, greed, and depravity. They are full of envy, murder, strife, deceit, and malice." This describes those who consciously turn away from God's truth and choose to live apart from Him. Their hearts become hardened, they do what is wrong but see it as normal, and they live in destructive patterns, the very patterns we see in the news. Following God's ways helps us to avoid these sinful patterns. Without His guidance, our hearts can easily be consumed by greed, envy, hatred, and that always leads to suffering. Seeing all the darkness around us shows just how urgently we need to live out God's truth. And that's why our calling as Christians matters so much. Because if this world is getting darker, then our light has to shine brighter. Matthew chapter 5 verse 14 and 16 reminds us, "You are the light of the world. A town built on a hill cannot be hidden. Let your light shine before others, that they may see your good deeds and glorify your Father in heaven." Over the past few days, one of the most beautiful things I've seen is glimpses of that light in fellow believers. People praying for Charlie, holding vigils, standing strong in faith even in the middle of tragedy. This is exactly how we're meant to respond to darkness, through prayer, through trust, through faith that God is still in control. We also need to keep praying for everyone who is suffering, those affected by war, violence, corruption, and injustice. Every life matters and every pain matters to God. And yes, we must also pray for those who laughed, mocked, or celebrated Charlie's death, or anyone who takes pleasure in any violence or cruelty. Because as Jesus prayed on the cross, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. That's not optional. That's what following Jesus actually looks like. As Christians, we're called to love everyone, including those who oppose us. And if we can't do that, then how are we any different from the world around us? So this is not the time for lukewarm faith. This is not the time to stay silent, to blend in, or to just go with the flow. This world is getting darker, and if we are not shining brighter, then we're failing the very mission Jesus gave us. So how do we shine? Not with bitterness, not by fighting hate with more hate, but showing a love and compassion that doesn't even make sense to the world. So let's live boldly. Let's be known as those who bring hope into hopelessness, respond to cruelty with kindness, and show mercy and forgiveness just as Jesus taught us. Let's live in a way that points people to the God we serve by reflecting Him in everything we do. And above all, let's live as if we truly believe that God is the answer this world desperately needs. Because He is.